Yeah, I walk the block like a young lord, a slum dog, amongst the war-torn liquor store, gun store, bodega like a general store where you could get you some raw or whatever you want, it's all yours. Fiends nodding off on the milk crates, DTs hiding out trying to build case, repeat offenders selling cause their bill's late, and they don't see another way, now that's an ill fate. Brother trying to make sure his appeal straight. Another came back from Kuwait with a steel plate. Shit is real, even Steve Jobs died. These kids don't wanna idolize guys like Bill Gates. It's just the way of the world. It's just the way of the world. It's just the way of the world now. It's just the way of the world. Pulling up to Zuccotti in your Bugatti. You probably just don't get it, you bourgeoisie. You probably wasn't expecting this new posse. Trying to make a change, you and who's on me? Huh? You and who's on me? You and who's on me? You and who's on me? Move calmly. For real, they pop pills and shout on YOLO now. On some don't look back shit and don't look down. Everybody wanna have a colder style. Rather be a Cola pal than a Goma pal. That's that gangster mentality. People got it all crooked. Wanna be a real crime family. Ain't up on them Bin Ladens in the bushes, it's a damn shame. You still quoting Scarface. Cliché than the car chase. And if you saying that it's art for art's sake, then I'm just saying don't get caught counting cars, Ace. It's just the way of the world. It's just the way of the world. It's just the way of the world now. It's just the way of the world. Pulling up in your Lex in front of the jet. Say we ain't even from there, something suspect. Show some respect, at least show some sense. You trying to connect, that's a stretch. You trying to contest. You and who's on me? Huh? You and who's on me? You and who's on me? Move calmly. Hey yo, EMP's the army. Better yet, the National Guard. Better yet, international's ours. After the party is the anarchy. That ain't a plan hardly. Man, don't even start me. Know what I don't like? I won't lie. It's exploitation, trying to play both sides. Disenfranchised youth on the block. Think a revolution starts just by shooting the cop. You wanna ruin two families? That's what that is. So focus on the bullet, we forgot about the ballot. And when your hands are already bloody, what's a little more? In the struggle, hope there's not another civil war. It's just the way of the world. It's just the way of the world. It's just the way of the world now. It's just the way of the world. Pulling up to Zuccotti in your Bugatti. You probably just don't get it, you bourgeoisie. You probably wasn't expecting this new posse. Trying to make a change, you and who's on me? Huh? You and who's on me? You and who's on me? You and who's on me? Move calmly.
Manny Faces.
You sick for this one. Sick for this one. Sick for this one.
The thing about hip hop today is it's smart. It's insightful. The way that they can communicate a complex message in a very short space is remarkable. And a lot of these kids, they're not going to be reading the New York Times. That's not how they're getting their information.
My hip-hop will rock and shock the nation. Hip-hop culture is more than music.
Peace to you and speak the truth. Show 'em what peace can do when there is for you.
My hip-hop will rock and shock the nation. Rap is something you do. Hip-hop is something you live.
So hip-hop didn't invent anything, but hip-hop reinvented everything.
This is Baby Girl Faces. And this episode is brought to you by
Check 1, 2. Check. It's your man, Manny Faces. Welcome back to an episode of Hip Hop Can Save America, the live stream. It's been a long time. I shouldn't have left you without a dope live stream to step to. Shouts to Rakim. Shouts to Strong Island, Long Island, where I used to rest. We're here live and direct, of course, Monday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, out here bringing you some of the best and most enlightening hip-hop news, views, and insight. Something you won't find in every corner of the hip-hop world. We try to do things a little bit differently. We focus on the ways that hip-hop music and culture can help uplift humanity, improve society, do good in the world. It's hip-hop for the greater good. That's what we talk about here. That's what I look to tell stories about. We have a bunch of people that come on the show. If you're just tuning in for the first time, you might be with us live. Salute to you. Shouts to you in the chat. Shouts to me in the chat. Let me know we're sounding good, smelling good, tasting good, feeling good. And if you're watching on the replay, please join us Mondays, 9 o'clock live. Now, we've been gone for a couple of weeks because end of summer, it was a little bit laid back and, smoothed out, and people were doing their Labor Day thing and, finishing up their summer activities. So we took a little break. So we might need a little time to get up and running again, but please don't miss this opportunity to join us every Monday night, 9 p.m. Some of the people that we talk to here are amongst the most dedicated to the idea of hip-hop music and culture and how it can help improve society, and that, it's in areas that are just not entertainment. You know what I mean? Like, we talk to educators, people that are teachers or using hip hop as mental health therapy tools, or people that are using hip hop theater, or people that are using hip hop in their nonprofits, reaching out to the community organizing, hip hop and civics, getting involved in government politics and activism. So all the good things that you want from hip hop that we think we used to have from hip-hop, and a lot of people don't think exist in hip-hop anymore. We bring them to you. We tell the stories of the people doing that work. Not everyone does that. So here tonight, while you're, just tuning in, or again, checking on the replay, we'll be talking with Ozay Moore. Ozay is the founder and executive director of All of the Above. It's a hip-hop academy, so it's a nonprofit organization. They're located in Lansing, Michigan. And again, just to follow through with what I'm talking about, this is the kind of people we talk to here, the people that have been running nonprofits for 10-plus years, that have been empowering youth, developing youth, working with the community, working in the schools, doing all the great things that we know that hip-hop can do to help make the world a better place. You saw my list of subscribers and Patreon members. I appreciate y'all. Boy, oh boy, do I more than ever. You can become a member. You can become maimed. No, we don't want to maim anyone. You can become a member at patreon.com/Manny Faces. And you saw a number of the people there, including Silent Night, who you heard rocking a joint in the beginning. Shouts to Silent Night, dope artist out of New Jersey. You missed his Bandcamp Friday, but you could always find Silent Night. Silent Night is busy, bandcamp.com. So if you like the song in the beginning, his name is Silent Night. The song's called Ogre, and it's from one of his recent releases, Restoration Volume 3. You can support that artist and get some real good, feel good, smart, vibey, just dope hip hop. People want that still. And some of us don't necessarily vibe with what might be in the mainstream. And that's not to say that these artists shouldn't be in the mainstream. They should. Silent Night's a super dope artist, and he's quite talented and has a long discography. Goes back many, many years to the Raucous Records days, and he's on Raucous Records. Anyway, shouts to Silent Night. You should check him out. So one of the subscribers to this show, one of the people at patreon.com/Manny Faces, shouts also to Mark E, Jesse G, Toast, Nicholas S, Brianna C, Steffi, Kath, Morgan, Andrew Wang, who's a super supporter of this show, Dr. Raphael Travis, Patrick, Chris J, Adam Cruz, Dr. Elliot Gann, AJ Woodson, Sarah R, Austin R from the Too Pretty Band, shouts to Dayton, Ohio, Jamie F, Tony P up in Canada, Randy S, who does great work with music, hip hop and music education, and a new Patreon supporter, Tara Moana. So thank you all for subscribing. You can jump on patreon.com/Manny Faces and help support this show. Obviously, you see all the razzle dazzle that we put in to effect here. It takes a lot to do. So what we're going to get into real quick, this is what we normally do. Again, we're coming out of a break, so it might be a few weeks before people jump in and start giving their 2 cents. But we do have a few things to talk about. We do a segment that I like to call
Hip-hop news that isn't about dumb shit.
All right, so we're going to come back. Now, this is the newsletter that I also put out. It's called Hip Hop Can Save America, the newsletter. You're watching Hip Hop Can Save America, the show. The newsletter is at mannyfaces.substack.com. It's a free subscription, but you can also contribute there as well if you want to kind of contribute to the cause. And again, we have, I think, up to a dozen supporters now, subscribers, people who recognize that like real hip hop news and views happen here, and I really appreciate that. And I wish you would tell some friends and pass on the word so that everyone knows what we're doing. Because what we talk about here is people doing this great work in hip hop, and one of the ways that we disseminate that information is through the newsletter. You'll see right here, kind of on the screen, a little bit of a look at the Hip Hop Can Save America newsletter. The latest episode edition went out, I don't know, about a week ago, a little over a week ago. And it was insights from an Old Heads Anonymous meeting. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But what you'll see here is that we have a whole section called Hip Hop News that isn't about dumb-ish. Now, there's often a lot of hip hop news that takes over the zeitgeist. Obviously, we've all been talking about the last couple of days, the announcement that Kendrick Lamar is going to be performing at the Super Bowl 2025. That's great. It's a great look. I think that's the right choice. I know there's been a lot of back and forth about whether we have snubbed Lil Wayne or other New Orleans artists that could have been on the platform, and I understand that. That's definitely a concern that's worth discussing. That being said, I think Kendrick's having quite a run, and knowing how he did for his pop-out event in LA, we can expect a lot of surprises and a lot of thoughtful artistry and performance. So for what it is, for the hip hop, for the halftime show at the Super Bowl, it's fine. It's a fine choice, if you ask me. But I'm just a guy. You might feel differently, and we could have those discussions. By the way, put in the chat how you feel about it if you want, and we could talk about it or not. But that being said, like, there's a ton of things happening in hip hop that aren't just that, and they often get drowned out because of the big stories of the day, the big mainstream stories of the day. So I try to help, collect them and deliver them to you. And one of the ways I do that is in the newsletter. Now, this one's about a week and a half old, so some of these stories are old. We'll start with a couple of things that we want to bring attention to today. We'll talk about a couple of things you might have missed, but really I'm trying to get you to subscribe to the newsletter so that you get these in a timely fashion, and you don't have to go searching for them. Because if you'll notice, a lot of these stories aren't stuff that you might find in your hip hop outlets, or if you do, it's like it comes and goes. It's really quick because, again, all the big stories of the day kind of drown it out. So some recent stories that we covered, just to let you know what you might be missing from the last newsletter, but I'll go through that in a second. First, let's do what we have to do. Sadly, we have a couple of RIPs from the hip hop world, and every now and then we might miss a local or a lesser known but no less important name. So if I miss somebody that's recently passed away, we try to give flowers on the show before people get into these situations. But we also have to pay respects to those who passed. Houston rapper and producer Beat King was 39 years old. Pulmonary embolism during a radio show, I believe. This guy was pretty popular in Houston, sort of a local legend. I hadn't heard of him, but, from Houston folk that I know, definitely was somebody that was established in the hip-hop community in Houston. So, we tip our hat and we pay respects to that man. Of course, if you're from New York like I am, the news that Fat Man Scoop passed away at 53 years old, as People magazine, I'm not sure who they quoted, it might have been Questlove, as the undisputed voice of the club. Now, obviously, a lot of folks nationwide knew Fat Man Scoop from his he would do intros for a lot of records for the DJ pools, Fat Man Scoop, Crooklyn Clan, all that stuff. So you would hear him on extended remixes. You'd hear him on the radio in New York City a lot. You'd hear him in the clubs in New York City a lot. And of course, he came to national attention, like doing the joints with Missy and Ciara. Fat Man Scoop was a voice that, we would recognize, and it gave us a visceral feeling, especially New Yorkers, but then again, throughout the rest of the country and the world as well. This was a big loss for folks that grew up in New York and are about the same age as Scoop was, and it was a kind of a hard loss because of someone that we all kind of came up with parallel. You know what I mean? As some of us are getting to this age where we're about the same age as hip hop or approaching the same age as hip hop, you have people in your 40s and your 50s, and we talk about it on this show. And I know there are people that will lament the fact that hip hoppers don't live as long, but it's a little bit of a misnomer, I think. It's that people don't necessarily live too long. We know that in communities of color, the healthcare system is not as robust. We know that there's still healthcare disparities. If you know me, I've covered a lot of the healthcare disparities in some of the other journalism work that I do in communities of color and poorer communities across all demographics. So we find that despite fame and fortune, we have a lot of problems with folks getting to a certain age and having health problems that possibly could have been avoided if they'd been able to get health care coverage throughout the years. That's why issues like universal health care are so important to a lot of people, and it's why obviously we want to amplify any efforts, nonprofits, community organizations that try to do better in communities to get healthcare services out to folks. That's not saying that Fat Man Scoop had any kind of healthcare deficiencies. We're not sure exactly. I don't know exactly what might have happened had he had some kind of ongoing illness or what have you. But when we talk about people dying too young in their 40s and 50s, this isn't just hip hop. It's not exclusive to hip hop is what I'm saying. I'm saying that people in your community are dying at these ages all the time. People in my community, people, friends and family. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done to try to increase these services. So that being said, the great Fat Man Scoop died on stage. Something like the last words were like, "If you came here to party, make some noise," and then collapsed on stage. TMZ had a video. It was very traumatic for us. And, respect due, rest in beats to the great Fat Man Scoop, who was a beloved dude. Like, I don't know, like, anyone I know that's connected to the industry, people that work with him directly that I know, had nothing but love. So really a tragic situation, certainly young, went out doing the thing that he loved and the thing that he had become known for. So I guess there's some solace in that, but peace and love to the friends, family, and fans of the great Fat Man Scoop. And then, of course, the enormous one that swept over the nation and the music world, Rich Homie Quan from here in Atlanta, an Atlanta icon, passed away at age 34. Apparently, last I heard, it was from potential overdose, drug overdose. Rich Homie Quan had battled addictions in the past. I don't go to NPR very often for my hip hop news, although sometimes, again, because there's real journalists and there's, not all hip hop journalists, but a lot of, hip hop journalism outlets isn't really journalism, whereas an NPR and New York Times, sometimes when it comes to this, to the passing of our icons, I do look to some of the larger outfits because they're going to be fact-based. They're not going to deal in hyperbole or subjecture. But Rodney Carmichael, who's a very renowned hip-hop journalist as at NPR, was behind the Louder Than a Bomb podcast series, if you know about that, tackled the intersection of criminal justice and the hip-hop world. Anyway, Rodney Carmichael wrote the obituary or the article about the passing of Rich Homie Quan. So that's the one I would point people to. That's the kind of work I do on the newsletter. You see it down below, mannyfaces.substack.com. These are the kind of stories that I share and curate and collect and deliver to y'all. So if you find that valuable and you say, listen, I don't want to dig through kind of the muck and mire to find some of the good, quality stories about hip hop, I bring them to you. So that was an example there. And of course, Rich Homie Quan, just defined an era, redefined a sound, if you would. Not necessarily everyone's cup of tea. Older folk, maybe didn't appreciate that style of music that he helped evolve. Along with, of course, Young Thug, who's on still on trial in Atlanta. RICO wild case that's still ongoing. Partnered up as Rich Gang, had a really influential run and was quite beloved and revered in the music world. So that's it. Now, and then we're talking about 34 years old, super young. And again, the same thing I said before, where we say, oh, hip hop artists don't live very long. Well, I'm sure you know a lot of people that are in their 30s or know of, friend of a friend, family of a family, that succumb to drug addiction, fentanyl, overdosing, because of the drug problems in America right now. This is not unique to hip hop. However, it obviously That's what we report on here. So that's what we talk about. And so we feel a certain type of way, no pun intended, when the people that we love or, have grown up listening to or admiring as artists do pass away at a very young age. So that being said, shouts to, of course, the friends, family, and fans of Beat King, Fat Man Scoop, Rich Homie Quan. Again, these are the type of stories that we share in the newsletter, Hip Hop Can Save America, the newsletter. You can find it at Manny Faces. That's my name, mannyfaces.substack.com. Some of the stories that we passed around last week, I'll share with you in a sec. Just want to remind you, if you're watching, again, live or on the replay, I appreciate you. We have a great guest tonight on a pre-recorded interview, but super dope. It's a hip-hop nonprofit. It's called All of the Above. It's based out of Lansing, Michigan. Ozay Moore is the founder and executive director. They've been doing this for quite some time. They just recently acquired a brick-and-mortar headquarters, right? A place to house some of their programs. And what they do is they really focus on youth empowerment through the arts. So they have sort of, rap workshops, DJ beat making workshops, break-in workshops, all of the elements of hip hop to help young people, help mold young people, help give young people self-esteem and confidence and all the wonderful things that we know hip hop can do in a way that most other things can't, and how most westernized or Eurocentric, styles of teaching, reaching, and connecting with young people fail to do. So another example of just how if we look hard enough, we'll find brilliant ways to help improve society, uplift humanity, especially our young people, through hip hop. Like I like to say to a lot of people, hip hop isn't the problem. This is the beef I have a lot of times when people like calling out hip hop as being a terrible, influence on people. And I'm like, well, there are aspects of that, surely. And we'll talk about this in the interview. But if, as Karis One said, if hip hop has the ability to, I forget what word he used, but like destroy young minds or corrupt young minds, I think that was the word, corrupt young minds, then hip hop has the ability to uplift them. Like if it can do one thing, it can do the other. So instead of just kind of complaining or writing it all off as all hip hop can do is one, which is corrupt, let's put as much effort into amplifying the ways that hip hop can uplift. And if we do that, then we have better results. We have young people that are more engaged and just more intelligent and more tuned in, because we know as OGs in the game, and we'll talk about OGs versus old heads, that you can actually get a lot of benefit from hip hop culture if we tune in our young people to it early and the right way. So let's not give up on the music and culture that we love. Older folks, OGs, and young folks. If you might be listening, I know some of y'all are. I've seen, I've gotten emails. I appreciate you, because I'm always trying to bridge that gap and say, listen, we're not going to discount what young people are into just because it may not vibe with us. We want to use it as a tool to connect with you and go both ways. Learn from young people as well. So great talk in a minute. We're going to start that up in about 5 minutes. Real quick, a couple of things. Again, this is a segment that I like to call Hip Hop News that isn't about dumb-ish.
Hip hop news that isn't about dumb shit.
If you're watching live or on the replay, please give us a thumbs up. You can give it a quick share. Make sure you subscribe, turn notifications on. We go live Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern. But, every now and then we do a pop-up, or I'll release a standalone video that isn't part of the live stream. So it's a super dope thing for you to do, to make sure you're subscribed and give a thumbs up and do all the things, the YouTubey things, so we can grow and increase our reach, because we're telling really important stories. Some of them, for instance, from last week's newsletter, you saw what happened at the DNC. You saw what happened at the DNC. You saw that there was a wild inclusion of music, DJing, DJ Cassidy on the ones and twos, playing the music for every state as the roll call was announced. This is normally a very boring and uninspiring part of the convention. People who even like conventions don't really pay attention to this part of the political convention, but they flipped it, they smacked it, they rubbed it down. They did all the things that they needed to do to kind of spark some energy. Thought it was actually really well done. I want to shout out DJ Cassidy. As a DJ myself, I used to DJ at a comedy show. Shouts to the Newark, New Jersey, the Brick City Comedy Review. I used to be the in-house DJ for the comedy show. And one of the things that we would do at the comedy show is I would DJ, you know, before the, you know, like the Kid Capri Def Jam, you know, you playing music and then the you know, then they introduce and then you play him in with like a beat or whatever it is. And so I try to like, oh, is he from Brooklyn? Let me play some Brooklyn-ish, you know, is he from Jersey? Let me play some Redman, you know, like, oh, where's the comic from? And so you try to like tie it in with that. And that was always a really dope thing. What was super dope was then they would make some kind of joke during their set and I would have music to match it. Like they would mention a song or they were like, we're in a club and this was playing or some callback to what they were talking about that I could like find a song that would match that. And if it was like towards the end, then sometimes I'd have it and then they would go on to like another part of their set. Oh, I thought they were ending. And I'm like, I'm ready to play them out with that song. But then I'd catch it and then, you know, they'd be like, all right, thanks. My name is blah, blah, blah. And then I would play the song referencing the thing that they were just talking about in their set. People loved it. It was great. It's super dope. And if you have a good wide, you know, select, you know, library of music and you have a good knowledge of music, generational, genre, you could pull that off. Knowing that I do that and I do that, you know, well, and it's exciting and fun. I really did enjoy DJ Cassidy during the DNC. So of course the Atlanta Journal-Constitution had a whole story about how that happened and how that came to be. The story that inspired tonight's guest was the story on WKAR in Lansing, Michigan, which talked about the Hip Hop Academy moving into its new downtown Lansing home. Again, a nonprofit that's been working for years to work with young people, now was able to get its home base, a real brick and mortar. And we're going to talk to Ozay Moore, the founder, in just a few moments. So stick with me on that. Rhythm and Healing. This is a nice initiative as well. Dr. James Norris, known as Dr. J, and Dana Mason use hip-hop to provide hope. And this is a really fascinating program. You're going to learn more about it next week. So like I said, make sure you're subscribed and you have your notifications turned on because next week's guest is Dr. Morris. And Dr. Morris is a licensed professional clinical counselor with over 20 years experience working with all kinds of, you know, different populations and demographics. And he's a psychologist, I guess is the right word, whatever. He's a clinical counselor, whatever that, you know, means in smart people terms. But he was able to use and develop a system that uses hip hop as a method of counseling. Now, we've talked to people who do this before. We've talked to Dr. Ian Levy. We've talked to Dr. Raphael Travis. We've talked to Dr. Elliot Gann. We've talked to folks that are using hip hop as therapy, as therapeutic practice, beat making as therapy, writing rhymes as catharsis, like all kinds of stuff. What I loved about this program is that it's not for kids. It's actually for adults. Okay, that is a twist. Plot twist. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, you can't hear it? Why you can't hear my dun, dun, dun? Well, anyway, I played the dun, dun, dun. Anyway, so tune in next week because we're going to find out a little bit more about what that program looks like for grown-ups to actually get therapy that's based in like a hip-hop mindset. It's brilliant stuff. And you're not hearing about this anywhere else. So come tune in. That's another story. Again, these are hip-hop stories that are not about dumb-ish. Only found here. Manny Faces. Hip-hop could save America. Just wanted to shout out. And for some reason, like, you're not hearing the sounds, right? So that's okay. It's no problem. We can fix that. I don't want to do it live because then it throws off the stream, but here we go. So this was something I wanted to shout out again. Newark, New Jersey was a great place. I lived there for 5-6 years, and 24 hours a piece goes down there every couple of years. Shouts to Hakeem Green from Channel Live. They did a great event there. And again, we shout out not just concerts, like we're not going to do that. If you have a big concert event, that's great. That's cool. But 24 hours a piece is different. It's literally a 2-day festival. It's aimed at peace in the community organizing, coming together, doing all the good things. Hakeem Green's been doing this for a long time with his partners out there, and they did a good show. You might not know about it because you're not in or around Newark, New Jersey, but you should know about it because, again, if you think that today's music or today hip-hop doesn't have the things that it needs to bring communities together, talking about young people, old people, performances, OGs, families, vendors, in a park, no violence, everything's great. It happens. And so we wanted to make sure you know about that. Newark had 24 hours of peace. I mean, they have a lot of hours of peace, but it was the festival that happens. And so we shared, I'll give you a little bit of the story.
Hip-hop taking over the West Ward in the city of Newark Friday evening for a very special purpose.
To bring the community together. Niggas to drop the guns and to get off the street.
The yearly 24 Hours of Peace, a place where music brings people together to have meaningful conversations like stopping violence and conflict resolution.
This is a good initiative to bring more peace and anti-violence initiatives to the city.
Local and international artists, such as singer and philanthropist Maya Harrison, taking the stage one song at a time.
It's about role modeling and providing positive images, positive inspiration. We know the effect that our artists, especially from the hip-hop culture, have on young people.
The event, which was created 12 years ago by Mayor Ras Baraka, is a signature event in Newark.
We're trying to galvanize the community, make sure we educate the community about peace.
This peace night out, it'll give them some type of, unity.
Malik and his group of friends were born and raised in this section of Newark.
There's a big transformation. There's a lot of stuff going on in the community. They got a lot of programs for the youth. Back when I was coming up, we only had the Boys and Girls Club.
And of course, you can go on for 24 hours of music and dancing without food. Local vendors also taking part of the event.
They're helping us do our better community better and nicer.
Everyone together to make peace a lifestyle.
Our community does need a lot of peace because a lot of things are happening right now. People's family members are passing away. School is starting, so everybody just coming together and for this event to just be at peace is just an amazing thing.
So once again, shouts to our friends. I tried to get them on the show ahead of time. We couldn't make scheduling work, but they do it every year. So if you're in the Newark, New Jersey area, check out 24 Hours of Peace. I wanted to shout them out. And again, a bunch of stories about this. We shouted out Gunna providing 30 Georgia families with guaranteed income. We talked about, this was interesting actually. Sometimes we have artists that watch the show, a lot of educators, so we do education stuff, but a lot of artists watch the show, business folk, entrepreneurs in the music business. And Outkast is suing. There's a big lawsuit going on where Outkast is suing EDM duo who call themselves ATLians. And of course, that was a name that generally is thought to have originated with Outkast, that they kind of created that. And so you have a duo that's using that term ATLians as their group name. And so stuff like that, it's important if you're an artist, if you're an upcoming artist, or you're somebody that's involved in the music business, to keep abreast of some of these stories. I thought that was interesting, and I thought that was worth sharing. Anyway, stuff like that. Also a list of dope interdisciplinary hip hop events. So again, we're not doing shows and concerts. You can find that, on your own time, but it's sort of like maybe there's a conference, or there's a special museum exhibit, or Chattanooga Hip Hop Summit, the Hip Hop Arts Conference in Atlanta. Howard University is having a hip hop studies conference, their second annual. I was at the last one. I presented and I moderated a panel at Howard University last year at the Hip Hop Studies Conference. What an honor and a privilege for me to be a part of that, knowing how much hip hop history has sparked out of Howard University, right? It was really great to be there. Shouts to everyone who's there. Those kind of events I will have on the calendar. You're not going to find these collected anywhere else, period. So if this is the kind of stuff that, interests you, then you should really sign up to the newsletter. It doesn't. I used to have it where it would auto write it. Why won't it auto write it? Dang it. I used to have a button and it would auto write it. Fine, I'll do it by hand. Anyway, I gotta do everything myself. Obviously it's on the screen, mannyfaces.substack.com. But if you're watching on the replay, click it, sign up, be a part of the family. We got 1,500 people, almost 1,600 people right now who are tuned in and turned up with us in the newsletter. So you can definitely catch all the information, hip hop news and views and insights and events that aren't about dumb-ish. I like to say it's the world's most informative hip hop newsletter, and it's bold, and I made it up myself. No one told me that, but I said it is, and I will challenge you to prove me wrong. So sign up for it. Get involved, mannyfaces.substack.com. That being said, I think it's a good time to get into our wonderful discussion tonight. Again, the theme of this entire live stream video, and again, you might be watching on the replay, is to say that there are hip hop nonprofits out there. There's hip hop as a tool for youth empowerment and youth development. And a lot of people don't get this. They don't see it. Certainly people not familiar with the culture, they're not tuned into it. They believe that rap is all, dirtbag stuff with dirtbag folk, and they got no love for hip hop music culture or its participants, its culture, its citizens, as Sway would say. But we know better, and so that's what I do. We deliver those stories. So that being said, you saw the news story about Lansing, Michigan's all of the above hip hop academy getting their brick and mortar, their home, after years and years of serving the community, doing wonderful programs, serving the young people, all through hip hop, all elements, just showing love to everything that's at the core of hip hop: peace, love, unity, having fun, all those things. Congratulations to them. It caught my eye. I had known about Ozay Moore's work for a long time, but I felt it was a good time because they'd just gotten their brick and mortar. So without further ado, let's get into it. This is my discussion with the founder and executive director of All of the Above Hip Hop Academy, based in Lansing, Michigan. Please thumbs up if you feel this is valuable. Please sign up to the newsletter. Please just comment, like, subscribe, do all the things so that we get people to know about these people that are doing this great work. Without further ado, here it goes, my talk with Ozay Moore from All of the Above Hip Hop Academy. Let's go. I am joined on Hip Hop Can Save America by Ozay Moore, founder of the All of the Above Hip Hop Academy. It's great to see you, sir. Long overdue. I've had you on the radar for a long time, but you've recently hit a new milestone in the history and future of your organization. So I thought it'd be a great time to kick it, and I just appreciate you taking some time out your day to rock with us.
Right on, man. It's an honor being here. I'm really thankful for the time and the acknowledgement, man. It's been a long time coming. And like we were talking earlier, we've been in each other's orbit for a long time. So it's nice to finally connect. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, long overdue. The All of the Above Hip Hop Academy just started at the now, and then we'll, backtrack a little bit, see how we got here. Just give us the quick rundown for those who are not familiar with the organization that you founded and that you've been rocking for many years now. Just give a quick rundown of what the academy does, how long it's been around, and your role with it.
Yeah, right on. I'm a transplant from Seattle, here to Lansing, Michigan. When I moved here, just basic doing the bar scene, doing local shows, rocking.
You're an artist. You're an artist as well.
I'm an
You're
artist first, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. MC, DJ, writer. So, I paint as well. I don't break, but I've always had the heart of a b-boy, and I support the culture, 100,000%, you know what I mean?
Yep.
But yeah, so I moved here in 06. By 09, 2010, started playing around with this idea about bringing folks together, local artists together, kind of under this umbrella called AOTA, or All of the Above Creative. Just kind of build a network of artists and like-minded individuals to give back to the community. One, to support each other in our creative endeavors, but also to kind of really get rooted, as I was a transplant and didn't really know a lot of people except for artists in the community, based on my activity at the time.
Right.
And then by 2012, we messed around here and developed some after-school programming, some summer camps, with the intention of centering hip-hop culture to do a myriad of intentional good, right? We already know, as participants and practitioners, the value of being involved. But the rest of the world, and I think the general public, doesn't really understand the intersectionality of hip hop culture as it pertains to youth development, academic achievement, community support and building, economic support and building,
Right.
So we started down the path of making those connections more explicit. You know what I mean? In those early days, we transitioned. It was All the Above Hip Hop Academy. Now we didn't have the nonprofit. We just had a group of hip hoppers who were like, let's give back to the community and design some curriculum.
A collective. Yeah.
We did that for a number of years. By 2017, we applied for our nonprofit status, got it, so we're official 501c3. But then again, you know, the way that Lansing is set up, it didn't make sense for us to have a brick and mortar. As an artist myself, I understood the value of being able to tour and be on the road and get out and then come back home and have a place to situate yourself, right? So it ended up being like an opportunity for local artists to when and while they're at home to be able to give back. You know, there was a structure for that.
Yeah.
But as things began to grow, and you know, it's been 2017 to it's been a minute now.
Right.
My quick math isn't quick math, man. You know,
after the pandemic, no one knows years anymore anyway, so it's fine. We don't know.
7
We've lost
years,
all sense
right?
of time. Yeah.
Yeah. Now we have a brick and mortar, man, but we've been building the trust of our community and of Lansing specifically for the last a dozen years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it really means a lot to finally have a space where we can do and carry out our mission and vision, which is to mentor youth, support artistic expression, and serve our community as a hip hop cultural resource. And that's in a nutshell. We can unpack that as we go, but that's essentially what we do, man.
Yeah, well, let's start to unpack. And congratulations. It's a the nonprofit world. I'm dipping my toes into it. It's a whole different. It's a whole different animal, especially for creative folks. Then there's so much, stuff that you have to do. That all being said, again, congratulations. What are some of the, I guess, in practice, some of the programs or some of the actual things that the Academy as a collective and or now as more of a, formalized entity and or now as a place to call home? What are some of the actual programs? What does some of this work look like in practice?
Yeah, we started leaning really heavy on the hip hop cultural resource piece, right? We're hosting beat battles every quarter, events, that sort of thing. And then our programs, we started developing programs. We have our kind of flagship program is bars, beats and rhyme sessions. Essentially, it's this highly collaborative opportunity for young people to focus on the skill of making beats and the skill of writing rhymes, and then the collaboration that happens in that space of young aspiring MCs and producers kind of working to create material, but learn the history of the practice, as it is relevant to what they're learning. So say you're learning how to program drums. And today we're going to talk about the 808, but we're also going to look at, the history of the 808, and how it's been utilized throughout hip hop history and even current. So we make the information, we make those historical pieces relevant through the content and the approach of what we're teaching. And then it's all project based. So at the end of the program, hopefully if everybody's got the basics down, we'll create a song, we'll have a song to show, but more or less we're less interested in going through an 8-week program with AOTA and coming out with a song than we are interested in the youth development opportunities and are those intersections and the community building and the transfer of skills, and the awareness that these skills are applicable in other spaces of your life. You know what I mean?
Some
so
examples
if we come up with
for the lay people, because it is you make some songs. How does that make you a better human? Oh, it does.
Yeah. So let's talk about like in the creative process of working with a producer, right? And you have to make all these incremental decisions around, what you want and what they might want, or what you envision, what they're envision. So now you have to collaborate, and you have to collaborate effectively to come up with something that you're both proud of, right? Just those little pieces there, and then being able to say, you're going to do that for the rest of your life in your professional world, in your personal world. You're going to have to learn how to make compromises that are still in alignment with who you are and your values, and the end goal, so it might look a little bit different, the process of getting there, just as long as the outcome is what you hope for it to be. And if you're lucky, it'll be more, you know what I mean? So, that's that. But, with that, we have breaking classes, we have DJing classes. So we foster workshops, programs, events, all under the umbrella of all the above Hip Hop Academy. No pun. It is kind of doing all things, but we truly believe that, much like the message that you share here, hip hop could save the world. If not alone, America. You know what I mean? But it's saving us. Yeah,
indeed. And I tell people all the time, I know the world too. Like, let's do this show first, and then we'll branch out into that. And but for sure, I own the domain, so I'm already ahead of you. But indeed, And I also want to shout out the multi-elemental, focus, the focus on making sure that all the elements of hip hop are being, represented as well as possible. Obviously, we've seen a surge in breaking lately because I don't know this thing that happened, this Olympics thing, but obviously you've been doing that for quite some time in the community, and will continue to. Real quick aside, we won't get into it too much, but how does the amplification of a genre, an aspect of an element rather. So, for example, Hip Hop 50 last year, big, all the news, local news. I bet you Lansing's news team was all about this year, the 50th anniversary of hip hop, okay. And then this year, breaking in the Olympics. So they're all into it. And then they forget about it and go back to whatever. But how does that help an organization like yours? Because there is that public increase in public interest. Does that help? Does it hurt? Or is it a wash when these giant milestones happen that touch the public zeitgeist? And of course, you're a nonprofit. You have to get funding. You have to get donors. You have to get buy-in from the community. Do these things help or hurt, or neither?
I think it's what you do with the opportunity and what you do with the platform, right? If I use hip hop at 50 to then talk about me and mine and what I'm doing, how long I've been doing hip hop, blah blah blah, that's in and out. You know what I mean? Like that's. Right. But when you anchor it to a purpose, right? You anchor it to the humanity that it impacts, the people, the communities, the philosophy, right? We always talk about hip hop culture and hip hop of more of a philosophy and a way of being, a way of seeing the world than just its expressions, right? Those are the manifestations of philosophy, but when you anchor it in those pieces, it has so much more longevity, right? Because you're right. They're talking about breaking this year, but yes, next year they won't be. We still will, because we've been doing it, and we understand its importance. But I think when you make it bigger than hip hop as the popular media sees it, right? Which they can reduce it to whatever. They can reduce it to a rap song. They can reduce it to, hip hop choreography.
Lucky,
or whatever. Right. But I think when you blow it up and bring people into the world, into what you mean when you use phrases like hip hop culture or terms like hip hop culture, what you are actually saying, I think it becomes more intriguing. And I think it's a great opportunity for folks to actually make those connections to people, opposed to just artistic expressions. You know what I mean?
Yeah, got it. I mean, you have to continue the work of the mainstream media. If it's brought it to the attention of the mainstream public, that's nice. But there's always teaching that has to be done to the general public. How do we balance that? How do you balance that? That authenticity of hip hop culture. There's always that balance of, we don't need y'all validation. We don't care, what you think about us. But again, to be able to get these programs going, to be able to do things, you kind of do want to invite them in so that they can authentically connect and understand the value and the importance of what we all kind of, do to use hip hop in ways that can uplift lives and livelihoods and communities. How do you balance that?
In the beginning, I felt like locally in Lansing, we were doing a lot of explaining, right? We're doing a lot of explaining, like verbally, like, oh, well, hip hop, blah, blah, whatever. Right. It's not this, it's that, Sure. But there's so much nuance to it, right? We've kind of pivoted away from the conversation of what's hip hop, what's not hip hop. I mean, hip hop is like, this is us, it's people, it's our expression, right? It's a reflection of lived realities, perspectives, philosophy, and so the balance is just continuing to show and prove, that we live that, each one teach one model. We just continue to show up and make explicit the connections that are undeniable to the advancement of society. You know what I mean? Like now in Lansing, Michigan, which is kind of like the most unlikely place to run a hip hop centered nonprofit organization that's not just giving you transfer, like out here for the exchange, like, we'll teach you how to break and that's about it. We'll teach you how to rap, that's about it. But really going deeper with it, this is kind of an unlikely place for it to exist because we don't really have an industry, or even a strong nightlife for that matter to support, the rationale in the general public's mind. But when it goes to, when we start talking about, So prior to the pandemic, we were being looked at as this, oh, this is cool. We got this really sweet organization that does some after school programming centered around hip hop. That's cool. We love that. But as soon as the pandemic hit and they were talking about resources being allocated to, you know, you know, organizations and systems and spaces that were essential, we became secondary. We were not essential. We weren't looked at as an essential mechanism in our city until the world was on fire, right? So that same summer, right? And they're talking about, yo, why is folks are building their burning buildings down, right? You know, we're rioting in streets, and DEI became a thing, a trend, right? And a focus. People started looking at the work that we did way different. It's like, oh, so this can be like real essential to our community in terms of like working with young people, keeping them out of trouble, you know, investing into the understanding of our community and participants in terms of this rich history and narrative and legacy that you get to be a part of, not just in the expression part, but this philosophy, this philosophical piece. We just started looking at this way different. And then we started getting real funding, you know, all through the pipeline of DEI. But what we've seen is it hasn't let up. It's just kind of gotten more intense, which has been really, really exciting. Because again, to the point of when the doors open, show and prove and make it not about you and your raps. You know what I mean? Don't make it about your DJ show. Don't make it about what you're about to do as a rapper or a DJ or a b-boy, whatever. Make it about the community and make it about how this influences and impacts the community if that's the time you're on. You know what I mean? And that's been pivotal for us.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Actually, and it covers some of the I was going to say some of the challenges, and you know, in funding. But you're saying like sort of that public perception does affect how you're perceived, and therefore how you're, you know, welcomed, or how easy it is. Easy is relative. It's never easy to get, you know, things like funding and buy-in. But when it's interesting, you say, for me, not having to sort of explain it, but by showing it, you do it enough, people do recognize its value. Like people will kind of make the connection, unless they're just dead set against it. There's nothing you can do about folks like that. But and so it is a show and prove kind of thing, rather than always having to, you know, kind of beat people over the head with the, you know, the 101s, you know, the explanations and all that. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, no doubt.
I love to. And I asked you, you know, you describe some of the programs, some of the work. I always love to tell folks, we never know who's listening or watching. Maybe it's somebody that runs a program similarly, or is thinking about doing such a thing, or has never thought about doing such a thing. And so I like to drill down a little bit and try to get a couple of success stories, or something that you know, really went well for y'all. Could have been way early, could have been just recently. Young people especially, what are some anecdotes, or, you know, just proof, you know, of the concept that this is really helping change lives and livelihoods and communities, empower youth, etc. Give me a couple of good ones.
Yeah, I'll give you a couple. So, you know, our programs are free, right? So we try to make them as barrier free as possible. And the philosophy behind that is that, like, it's not that there's a limited amount of resources out there kind of in the ecosystem. So it's usually the case is folks are spending an absorbent amount of money, not getting the results they want. And even putting on like real expensive pizza parties. You know what I mean? Like I've sat places where I was like, this was $2,000 for you to feed everybody in this room with pizza. Check it out. Give us $2,000 and we will change lives. You know what I mean? And so that's how we move, right? So we're not charging students, we're not charging families, we are charging, other organizations or companies, you know what I'm saying, or institutions, and then getting grants. But, with that, we get a variety of different kind of students coming in our program. Right. And so it is from folks who have, and for those who have not, and we love that, right? We love, but the story is still the same. We're giving you the history, we're giving you the context, we're giving you the game, we're giving you the instruction on how to. But the most important piece is that context as to why we believe hip hop is so powerful and how it can be powerful for the individual. So we had a young man come in. He was on the spectrum. right? And I also had some brain trauma, some head trauma.
Okay.
Being bullied at school, wasn't really fitted in, but he had like this affinity for classic hip hop. I was like, oh man, this is an easy one, right? Like we're
Right.
kind of speaking the same language.
You're in the right place.
Which yeah, but it's not always the case. And I will just a pin in that part of making it about people. We've had to challenge a lot in being from a different era. We've had to challenge that hard. Like early on, we were like, we could either get with it or become irrelevant in the conversation to these young people we're trying to connect with, right? Yeah. So just a pin in that, or we can revisit. But anyway, with this particular young man, he was already speaking the language for us as older folks. So I remember like he was with us for about 3 or 4 months, and we got this letter from his mom. It was like, look, what y'all been doing, what you've been able to do for my son has changed not only his life but our family's life, where he has a place where he can go and be himself. He's getting the mentorship, he's getting the time, he's being validated, he's being seen. At school is not the case. He's being bullied, he's being ostracized, he's being, so it was just like, thank you for holding the space for my son to come and have this positive experience that is having a ripple effect in his overall attitude and the way he's living and carrying out his life at school, at home. And it's just provided this additional resource the family didn't even know they needed through hip hop for their son. You know what I mean? Yeah. And those stories are regular for us, but that was a particular one because there was a challenge there, right? Where, okay, he was neurodivergent, right? He had some other complications we had to work with, but we were willing to work with it, and he continued to show up. You know what I'm saying? And even without even being able to verbally process or verbally explain how thankful he was, he just kept showing up, kept putting in the work, and his family was able to articulate the difference they saw. So again, that's kind of that's a particular situation, but those kind of sentiments are the norm in the work that we do, where the family is reaching back and being like, yo, thank you, we've been looking for this, and we want are you going to have adult classes, because we want to learn that, you know what I mean?
Right.
Which with our new space, we are going to, we're going to do it. But up until this point, for the last decade, it's just been all about kids. We're not worried about adults. We're just giving kids space, you know what I mean? So,
and you said something really profound right there. You said it was something that the family didn't know they needed.
Yeah.
I mean, like they didn't think of, here's the void and here's the way to fill it. They're probably looking for ways to, connect with their kid, but then they're thinking like, his love for classic hip hop, could help him, no one's making those connections.
That's so real, man. In fact, a lot of the times that they come in like really apprehensive, like, yo, this is about to be a mess, right? Like, I don't even know like this. Because we're looking at like some of these parents are my age, right? I'm 42, so they have teenage kids, and they're like, maybe they don't even know how to have the conversation around hip hop and music. Usually that's the gateway, right? It's like my kid's really into Eminem, or my kid's really into like, J. Cole, or my kid really likes Kendrick, and I grew up on such and such, and I'm trying to have the conversation. And usually most adults aren't willing to admit that they're hypocrites in the conversation. Like, yeah, our beats were different, but the content was a lot of the same. You know what I'm saying? We were shooting kids and selling stuff too. Just the beats were a little different. They had Primo, they have Zaytoven or whoever. Right. But it stops there. But when they come in and they see that there's this like multi-generational, like really healthy space where the conversations are rich, the engagement is high, the intent is really focused. They come out as believers. Like, yo, I didn't realize they weren't looking under hip hop rocks to say like, what's going to help our family? Let's check this rock over here, break it, or rap it. And they lift it up and they're like, this is changing things. How can we support? Even beyond.
I love that it's bringing it back home to the family, like the household, or whatever the household dynamic might be, that there's, it's spilling back over. You know, we talk about this all the time here, the folks that I talk to, the importance of that multi-generational outlook, obviously teaching the history of it. You know, we always say they don't respect the, you know, the craft. They don't respect the culture. But I mean, we got to teach them. We got to show them like they're not, this is, you know, there's no hip hop history class in their schools. Like we have to do this and we have to find the locations and the initiatives that can help do that. But at the same time, we have to be open and welcoming to how they perceive hip hop as, you know, it has evolved dramatically since our day, you know, but that combination seems to be really, really successful. You can't just be all into the, you know, into all the, you know, hello, fellow kids, and like you rocking, they're rocking, but you also can't, you know, just be like it's this way or the highway, you know, boom bap and, you know, and golden era or die, you know, like you can't, it's that middle ground. And I think that's where the sweet spot is. You'd agree?
I would agree 110%, man. I mean, we have this philosophy at AOTA. It would rather be somebody's OG, right, than to be an old head, you know?
Yeah.
And it's kind of this philosophy that we was like, okay, what's the difference, right? And I was working at a school for adjudicated youth where, you know, the common narrative was that, you know, at least among the staff, right, as a behavior treatment specialist staff there, and they were, you know, the false narrative was that kids don't want to listen to adults, you know, but you start digging a little bit, and it's like every kid has some adults in their life they're listening to. It's whether or not what they're bringing to the table is relevant or pertinent information, right? So what's the difference between an OG and an old head, right? The OG on the block, right, is giving you information on how to navigate your community, how to navigate getting from school to home safely, or how to make money, you know, to support whatever, you know, or how to fill in the blank. But the blank is whatever is relevant. Right? The blank is whatever is relevant to the individual, right? That person gets the honor of being the OG to that person. That's an honorable position. So it wasn't an issue about, you know, the kids don't want to listen to adults. It's just that we're so busy talking about, man, you're doing it wrong. I'm guilty, right? I'm the first one. We started AOT and I was like, yeah, you're going to learn this Big Daddy Kane. You're going to learn this Rakim. And you're going to learn this because this is real rhyming. You're going to learn this. You're going to learn this. You know what I'm saying? And they're like, yeah, that's cool. I appreciate it. But what about this? What about this? And I was quick to be like, nah, that's not it. You're missing it. And your pants are too tight. You know what I mean? And so, and real quickly had to switch that tone. You know, like it's psychology one. Nobody's dealing with somebody who can't even validate or see them in who they are as they're showing up in their authentic selves, you know? So now the challenge is for us as older heads in the room to begin to really appreciate what young people are bringing to the table and make ourselves available to give them the tools, the resource, the backing, the support, and the community and the context and the challenge to move forward, take it further than we ever could have taken it, because that's the world we're living in, and to be there in their corner for it. I think that's the difference. Like, we're not going to just harp on what you are doing wrong, not even knowing the truth about that. We're just like so biased and committed to our opinions that we missed opportunities to really make a difference. You know what I mean? So that was a big pivot for us. But yeah, we're all in pursuit of being young people's OG. You know what I'm saying? Like when you go wherever you're gonna go, you'll look back and be like, yeah, but I had this dude in my corner, I had this gal in my corner, I had these folks in my corner really pushing me and challenging me in a way that I could receive. And I think that's the important piece.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. I love the OG old head, analogy. And also, this is the same thing that we hear from educators all the time, as as you will attest to, because we all will attest to. There was that one teacher, that we actually listened to or paid attention to, and they were like sort of the mentor, or they gave us something different, and that's what it was. They were tying into that way of saying, nah, man, I want to hear from you. I want to know what helps you. It's an individualized approach in some ways, and when we I always say, when we throw the hip hop baby out with the mumble rap bathwater, we miss that. We miss those. So
the mumble rap bathwater.
Yeah. So we're
that's a shirt. That's a shirt.
Yeah. So we're speaking the same language, and I appreciate that insight. I know how important it is. A couple more questions for you go, and this one ties into that a little bit. You're an artist, you're a DJ, you're an MC, you're not only a cultural participant, but an artistic, participant. How has being a practitioner helped shape how you have designed the programs and carried on your nonprofit work? And how important is that? And And at the same time, tell me who else maybe in the staff, or how do practitioners fit in to the mission?
Yeah, I think as a practitioner, you have a competence that you are the specialist in the room in regards to the practice, right? And I think what happens more often than not, well, in every scenario with AOTA, is that this person or this individual may be really proficient at teaching or producing or carrying out their practice, as an MC, as a writer, as a DJ, whatever. And they haven't always made the connection to what's happening while they do in the processes that they're experiencing, right? And so we kind of serve as that mediator, or that reference, or that, I guess, that guide, or light to expose, like, hey, you're doing this, but check it out, this is what's really happening. And like, oh, it's not really think about it. And this is what our students are getting out of you intentionally teaching that, or making those points in that process, that while they're learning how to program drums, they are also learning this,
the things we know inherently do as practicing, we don't know that we're doing them in that. And we talk sometimes that, like, teachers don't. You're bringing Dr. Bettina Love, the first guest on this show ever, who is just brilliant at this, and from get taught me the idea of, when you say, oh, I want to bring this hip hop program to the to the school, and the school's like, what? No, hip hop, rap, no. She goes, no. It teaches social and emotional intelligence. What you're doing in the cipher is social and emotional intelligence. So as practitioners, as hip hop heads, we know what we're doing is instructive and it's helpful, but we don't actually know what we're doing. It's inherent. And you're saying, like, there's a way to kind of pull that out of somebody and say, no, here's how you focus it, or at least be knowledgeable of what you're doing, and that makes a big difference.
Indeed, we didn't have the language. There was no language. Exactly. The social emotional intelligence is like, what is that? You know what I'm saying? I'm an MC. I don't know. I'm trying to break down social emotional intelligence. I get it, but where does that apply, and how is that applied through what I'm doing? So there's there's a lot of nuance there. And so we internally are like just exposing the nuance. Like, this is what you're doing, and you're doing it naturally. You're not having to like add to. It's like in hip hop, in these practices, they're just occurring because they're connected to our needs. As in you think about the first B-boy or B-girl DJ, and I mean, they were really advocating on behalf of them getting their voice out, their expression out through a medium that was interesting to them and that they were helping to pioneer and to develop. But there is so many connections to who they are and what they're about and what they're trying to achieve as an individual, as a human, and what they're advocating for as a human, that is being expressed through, the work they're doing or their practice. And so we just make those connections explicit, and it's not hard, and just allow for our artists just to keep on rocking. But as an artist myself, like, I don't have a lot of time to write rhymes or anymore. Now I'm running nonprofit organizations, right? And I'm the ED, so I'm in spreadsheets way more than I am my rhyme book. You know what I'm saying? I got 2 kids. You know what I mean? I DJ a lot more because that's, I'm listening to music all the time, so I'm creating playlists and crates and digging all the time. So that's a little bit easier, but it's slower for me to put out records and put out, and do collaborations or even songs for myself. So I wrestle with that. I know it's a season of life, but what I get in exchange is paying it forward to the next generation of aspiring artists to have the space and time and resources they need to build what they want. I had that early on, not in a space like AOTA, but just in the community, right? So just quick little anecdote. I'm from Seattle. I moved to Portland. I was a part of a crew called Lightheaded. Me, my man Omega Watts, another cat named Braille. We were in the Portland scene, connected with Lifesavers. One of my OGs is Versatile from the Lifesavers, and I remember moving into the community, and we did a show together. He caught me, and I just was like, I was kind of hungry to learn more from somebody who I esteemed as a dope MC, but also just want to pick up some game and be like, dude, this wordplay is crazy. Your knowledge on anything you're talking about is crazy. I was like, so what does a 21, 22-year-old MC have to do to level up and grow and develop as an artist? And he caught up with me. He was like, meet me at Powell's Books. And I was like, well, that's a weird place to go as a rapper, like a bookstore. Cool. You know what I'm saying? We're not gonna go to the studio, like,
Right.
but no, he's like, meet me at Pal's Books, and then
Yeah.
he just laid on me the importance, my role, my job, as the information bearer, as the communication, as the communication specialist, as the newscast, the news broadcast. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
Yeah, I do a whole program with hip hop as journalism, and that's
man,
yeah.
he exposed me to the importance of, I think his terminology was information in, information out. Information in, information. You should be continually feeding yourself with reliable information. Reading, you should be reading. So you have perspective and ideas and things to talk. It makes you more interesting as a communicator, more interesting as a artist and the vocal piece for this culture and for the art form. So that was something that translated quite direct through my experiences as an artist, moving into this academic space, educator space, into the nonprofit space, and running the organization, developing curriculum and whatnot, was those kind of exchanges where it's like, we are going to sorry, my bad. I had a mentor. I understand the importance of having mentors, so yeah.
No, I think it's the practitioners should be in education spaces, should be in nonprofits, but we need the practitioners of the culture in the mix. But what you're also providing is the tools and the techniques and the language to be able to maximize the chances of getting into those spaces, because it's still gate kept and it's still very, Eurocentric and westernized and all that jazz. They don't always look at practitioners. They'll have that. Oh, we're going to introduce a hip hop class. Well, bring someone from the African Studies department to it doesn't always translate, to hip hop.
Right.
So, but also providing the tools so that we know when we're going into those spaces how to connect those dots, how to connect the language, like Dr. Love and how you were talking about, I think is noble work in of itself. So I get the trade-off. You have to, put a little bit more into the teaching part of the teaching artist than the artist part. But it's important. And then what you do is you like you say, bring up the next generation, and we can continue this kind of work. There can be more organizations and more access to folks of the culture in these spaces. And I think that's a valuable work, and we don't see enough people doing it. So just kudos that you recognize the importance of that.
Yeah, when we started this, we thought we were gonna franchise it and kind of, we're gonna go to all these cities and do the same thing, right? Ended up realizing that this is a Lansing thing. This is what Lansing needed. Another philosophy of ours is, hip hop is best served locally. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's certain ingredients, there's certain flavors and textures and certain things that if you dig into the soil of your local community, it's not going to be like other communities, and you need to take in consideration those pieces as you're building whatever you're doing in your community. So we're way more interested in the consulting capacity of saying, hey, this is what we did, how we organize artists together, how we show, improve, and continue. It's not an overnight thing, you know what I'm saying, either. But there is a way to organize, folks underneath some organize folks to have a platform and system by which they can carry out this work in the context of their own local community. And we're way more interested in that than franchising AOT. I think All the Above Hip Hop Academy will continue to be a Lansing, Michigan thing. And hopefully we can be a resource to other folks doing similar work in their own, respective communities.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not like it's just in this talk. It's certainly can provide inspiration for folks who might hypothetically, I'm just saying, might be trying to also do some things. So I appreciate that insight personally. And I know that others will too. There's a lot of folks that kind of, not doing what we're all doing some of the same things. And I think that's valuable. It is the each one teach one philosophy, the ethos of hip hop. And we don't gatekeep these things. We want everyone can eat and everyone can feed. So yeah. So just matter of fact, that segues nicely into where we should take it, land this plane, as they say. And that's, what's the future look like? What are your plans? What's your, organization's plans for the academy in the future? And how does having a home base change things? And what's coming up? What should people know about?
Yeah, we've been a real transient organization for a decade. If you have a rec room, or a sanctuary, a cafeteria, wherever, that we could pull up, set up, and facilitate. It's been great. uniquely, and I don't know, I can only speak for Lansing, but Lansing doesn't have like a centralized location where young people kick it at, or go to or spend, or even for that matter, the general public. Like we have like a few different districts, but this is a automotive town where a lot of the folks like during the GM and the automotive industry heyday, they worked and made good money at the factories. They went home, but they spent their money usually like up north. When I moved to Michigan, everybody's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "What are you doing this weekend?" They're like, "I'm going up north." I'm like, "What's up north?" That's everybody's leaving for the weekend,
Yeah.
So this is our beach house. I was like, man, people can have beach houses here. I mean, you don't. They're not, you're not assuming everybody's wealthy because in my mind, you have a beach house, you're like, yeah, you're crazy. But it's usually it was middle class factory workers who like were able to afford property up north. You know what I'm saying? So every chance they got, they were going up there and hanging out, lake fishing and whatever,
Yeah.
And so just culturally, we've had to move a certain way, and these pieces have played into the way in which we've had to move, right? Being really transient, having a space now where we've been able to get around the whole city, east side, west side, north side, downtown. We've been able to like foster trust and notoriety and the belief in our programs and what we do by the whole community, So, and what we've noticed is as we've been transitioning and moving around, we're constantly updating our website. It's like, okay, so classes are going to be here. Change that. We're not there anymore. We're over here. And what we noticed is that the same group of people and more would just follow us wherever we were going. You know what I'm saying? For the younger kids, there's some nuance there. Like younger kids, teenagers, not so much. Younger kids and their family support would just take them wherever programs were at. So we put a lot of emphasis on working with younger kids. High schoolers, we go right to the high school and do programming there, right?
Okay.
But also those high schoolers, like, I would like to do some stuff now that they know about us. They're like, yeah, we'd like to like connect with y'all outside of the school too. So having a brick and mortar, an HQ in which all of our programming can be under one roof, we're just hype at what it can do. I mean, we're still trying to process all of what it can do. One of our newest things that, is offering adult classes because we get a lot of requests for that, and that can be a way in which we subsidize some of our free programming is we're not giving adults free classes.
Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, so
That's
we're hype about hype about
what would be
what
some
that
of the
means.
things that you would have adults, like just same kind of thing, music making, or just I can see that as being therapeutic for older folk, just always wanted to, or maybe get back into it, as you say, you still DJ, I still DJ, like sometimes it's church.
Yeah, man, listen, bro, I just had it this weekend. It was like, I needed that more than anything. Like, just
if you know,
play
you
the
know.
record.
If you know, you know. Yeah.
So, we have a lot of interest in DJing classes. They'll see us around town, and a lot of the folks, they got kids too, right? And they have kids like in our other programs, and so they're like, I want to train with my daughter. I want to train with my son, or dance with him. I like to at least know a little bit.
Yeah.
So there's interest in just moving your body. I think that's some of the motivation for the adults and want to take a break in class is like, you're gonna get the history. You're going to get the context. You're going to get all those pieces. You may not be doing air chair or air flares. You may not be doing windmills. You may not do head spins. It might be too late for that, But I guarantee you would get a couple rounds of these 6 steps in, you're going to be sweating and your heart rate's going to be up and you will feel the you'll feel that, the workout element, and that might just be where it starts and stops, for some of the adults. But DJing, certainly, I think some folks are interested in learning how to make beats and using the DAWs that we work with. But yeah, I think it's just more or less hobby type stuff and exercise, really. I think that's kind of the motivation for some of the adults. But I think more than that, even I think it's just being a part of our ecosystem at a participant capacity. Because a lot of these same folks are just like, I've been in your orbit, been around, seeing what y'all do. How can I be involved? I don't make beats. I don't do this. I don't know how to do that. I'll volunteer at one of your events. And they typically do that, but then they want to go deeper. They're like, yo, you got classes. I would love to learn the 6-step. I see them. That's fresh. Like, I want to, can I, And so I think it's just pulling back these layers of interest from, adults and, from grandmothers to aunties, uncles, and caretakers. yeah, folks are just interested, so we want to meet them there.
Here's why I think that
Yeah.
that's supremely valuable. Older folks, once they get a taste of, kind of get past that idea of hip hop today, right? That hip hop today, which I understand and makes sense. But you get them in this ecosystem, even with just having their kids involved, they see obviously the potential of how hip hop can, uplift lives and livelihoods and communities. And they're adults. They get to go into their places of work or their, their organizations or the Rotary Club or whatever they might be involved with and say, hey, we need to be thinking about hip hop in our organization. Maybe they're an educator. Maybe they're on the board of education. Maybe they work for another nonprofit. Maybe they just have a job where it's like, hey, we want to expand our business practices to include new opportunities for young people. We want to, I do a whole talk for the tech industry on how hip hop, like if you're hiring tech, you need to be hiring hip hop minded individuals because we've been innovating and remixing and smacking, flipping and rub down tech for decades. And nobody does it better than a hip hop head because of the way we see things.
Right.
So, but it's hard to do that when they've got that wall of hip hop today. With all they hear, even from some of folks that are even within the culture, this we won't go into in depth. I'm just preaching a little bit. But when a Questlove puts out a public statement, saying hip hop is truly dead because he wasn't happy with this particular. So you're outside, you're hearing from voices inside, and you're believing that this is hip hop today. You're showing that no, hip hop today is this too. This is hip hop today. It's all hip hop today. And if you get them into that ecosystem like you're talking about, then they're able to go out and help, bridge those gaps and connect those dots outside of. It's an extension of what you do. It's evangelism, and that's how you do it, by bringing the people, the older folks in, and they're paying attention. And I think that's super valuable. And I think intentional or not, or yes, but also it just happens organically. That work is super important and overlooked. I don't think people look at bringing us, the older folks, in to see what this is all about, so that they then can help amplify it and signal boost it outside of those walls.
We are stronger as a community, thinking multi-generationally. You know what I mean? Like, it has to be both and, and I think when we started like getting our nonprofit chops and figuring out what that means, like how do we do all, how do we hold space for an authentic representation and expression of hip hop culture while being a nonprofit organization, the scare was that, because part of it is that, we're a crew too, like AOTA as a creative, like we're crew, like we've been building our a little networking system for the last 12 years. So we're fam outside of the teaching space.
Sure.
All organizing an umbrella. And it was like, well, how do we do that? Does that get muddy with the nonprofit? It's like, we have our program piece, the 501c3, but we also have the crew piece. How do we merge that? How do we build that? But I think, what has been important, dang it, I almost just lost what I was about to tell you. My bad.
That's all right.
Losing the train of thought. The reason those two things exist and why it's important, and doing, bringing them into, an understanding or a deeper awareness as to what hip hop can do for a community and for people. I mean, it's just exposure. You got to keep on showing folks that you could do that. You know what I'm saying? And not having a blueprint, starting this thing out, we didn't really have like best practice, but we developed this mantra that there's no such thing as best practice. There's only better practice, because we are evolving as people. Society is changing. So
the culture's evolving, everything's,
So if you are on course to develop better practices along the way, you're not going to hold so tight to things that you don't need to hold on to. You know what I'm saying? That you can let go, and whether it be generational differences, for the sake of people, for the sake of the well-being of humanity and our culture and community, we believe that we can hold hip hop tight. We don't have to hold some of the so the misogyny, the whatever people will say, hip hop is this, hip hop is that. Like, it's not. Let's bear, like, it's a reflection of people. You know what I'm saying? If people are dealing with that in their lives, it's going to be reflected in the music. But let's get down to what it truly is, and it's about people. And I think as long as we continue to do that, if that message is shared and broadcasted, you know what I'm saying? I think the communities and I think the powers that be, just it's undeniable. You know what I'm saying? You can't refute the power of the culture when you're able to make those connections to our humanity, despite the way in which it shows up. It's like it is a reflection, and it's an honest one. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how
No, that's dope. I appreciate that's that kind of sums it up, takes it out. It's almost as if it could save America. Hypothetically.
To that.
And the world after as well. Well, listen, we're on our way in no small part to the work you're doing over there, Ozay. I've been really honored to hear you, kind of break it down, run it down. It's like I said, watching and the hip hop nonprofit game is a weird space. There's some folks that are doing it, and some organizations that you have to like look at a long time before you can understand or co-sign what they're doing. Again, this is long overdue. It's clear that you've been doing this for quite a long time, and making really real impact, great impact, respectful impact. And so I thank you for your work, and I thank you for your time. And actually, like I said, personally, I'm sure others will get this, for the inspiration and for some of the gems, OG, that you dropped about the nonprofit game and how to do it the right way. So I appreciate your time. Anything else for the people that I might not have covered? And then the end of interview thing, we tell everyone where they can find you and reach out.
Nothing, man. We're here. We're not going anywhere. You can find us online, AOTA Hip Hop on IG, all of the above hiphop.org for more information. If you're ever in the capital city, if you're ever in Michigan, pull up on us. We actually have a brick and mortar. You could do that. But we're always open to field questions and to hop on Zooms and rap. I mean, we had somebody reach out from Minneapolis, asking, do you do some programming? I was like, you got folks in Minneapolis doing programs. Here's their website. Check them out.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Like, we're all about that local love. You know what I'm saying? So if you're ever in our neck of the woods, pull up. We could grab coffee and or whatever, your tea, and chop it up about this work. It is, again, there's only better practice. So we're all learning from each other. And it's nice to have so many folks interested in this conversation at this point in time in history. I think that's one thing that Hip Hop at 50 has done. I think it's amplified the voices. I think even the Olympics, it really kind of shed some light on the fact that we need cultural institutions and we need folks kind of dispelling some of the misunderstandings and educating folks on what this culture really is about, who it's for, who it's from, what it's for, what it does. You know what I mean? I think that's really important. So shout out to everybody doing this work. Love from Lansing. It's Ozay, AOTA. And I appreciate you, Manny Faces, bro. Long time coming. Thank you for the time, bro.
That's all good. All right. Listen, we'll do it again. We'll get anything happening or updates, you let me know. We'll get it out to the people. And if I'm ever in town, we'll link up for sure. I'm down in Atlanta now. I did the thing that New Yorkers do when I moved down to Atlanta. So if you're ever down this way, you just holler at me, let me know, and we'll link up as well. In the meantime, in between time, I wish you and your organization all the best, and we'll talk again.
Peace.
Thank you for your time.
Manny Faces.
You sick for this one. Sick for this one. Sick for this one.
There it is, my man, Ozay Moore from all of the above Hip Hop Academy in Lansing, Michigan. A long time coming, a great nonprofit organization that dedicated themselves to youth empowerment, community involvement, and all the elements of hip hop. You'll notice that obviously for hip hop nonprofit to call themselves, all of the above, you might think that they would include all of the elements, and they do. They rise to the occasion. Thanks to people that have been checking in throughout the night. Fan Virgin's creative group, appreciate you. I want to put your little right there on the screen. Appreciate you. I've been watching in the background. Shouts to Jared Johnson in the building. Appreciate you, long time follower. Shouts to We Code Kansas City. Great organization. You talk about nonprofits that work with kids. I've been talking to them. I know them a little bit. And thanks for coming through tonight. We appreciate you. Also doing great good out there. The nonprofit game is a weird game. I've been dabbling in that scene, and I've been trying to, maybe put some things together. I'm working on it, y'all, but I might have to lean on y'all for some expertise. So Ozay, We Code KC, y'all gotta give me some. Ooh, I got a little fuzz here. You gotta give me some insight, man. It's a weird game. Y'all are doing it. Y'all are killing it. And again, Lansing, Michigan, all of the above Hip Hop Academy. If you happen to be in the area, if you happen to be in the scene, the nonprofit scene, and you're just getting your feet wet, as he said, Ozay will be glad to help you, confer with you. We're not here to gatekeep. We're here to make sure that everybody eats. So once again, please subscribe. If you like this kind of talk, if you like this type of news, type of views, type of hip hop insight, please sign up for the, I left it in the chat as well, the mannyfaces.substack.com, a free newsletter. We share all kinds of news, upcoming events. Like I said earlier tonight, we have so many things happening. We got the Howard University Hip Hop Studies Conference happening in November. Great place for academics and teaching artists and even nonprofit folks to get in the same place at the same time and talk about hip hop sort of on a more intellectual, on a higher level. What can we do? Communities into the bringing the practitioners into the academic spaces, making sure the academic spaces pay attention to the practitioners and people of the culture, but all kind of stuff like that. There's a Detroit got something that just passed. Detroit, we had you on here. They had a great Elements hip hop weekend, including a hip hop theater festival in Detroit. Chattanooga's coming up. My good friends in Chattanooga. Shouts to the Chattanooga Hip Hop Summit. I've been a part of that every now and then. The last couple of years, they do a good 2-day event out in Chattanooga, family friendly, business oriented, hip hop entrepreneurship. They're great. So again, these are the kind of freestyle session. If you weren't too thrilled with the Olympics breaking debut, I made a long video about this. Please make sure you subscribe. Give this thumbs up and make sure you're subscribed. And go back, because I talked about one of the things that we need to take away from from breaking the Olympics isn't necessarily that thing that happened, but more so that breaking is not a once in every 4 years thing. It happens all the time. It probably happens near where you live. There are regional finals and traveling leagues and all kind of things going on. Freestyle session got a bunch going on in different parts of the country, and then there are the world famous. Well, it is world famous, but their world finals is in November in LA. Things like that. That's on the newsletter. That's the stuff you need to pay attention to. Nobody else is killing themselves to bring you all of this stuff. And that's why I ask that if you can, please support this work at patreon.com/Manny Faces if you can. If you can't, that's fine. $5, $10 a month. You know how this thing goes. I see a lot of people getting funded. They just had right-wing podcasters get $400,000 from Russia, $400,000 just to pump anti-democratic blather onto the potosphere. 400,000. Imagine what I could get if I was just going to be one of them and just fell into that lane. I'd probably be able to make a good living. I'm not doing that. So we have to, help out a little bit so that we can keep this going. Obviously, all this costs a lot of money. And, I don't want to do sponsorships and have to rely on companies and, they tell me I can't talk about this or I can't talk about that. You know what I mean? We don't want to. So maybe of the people, by the people, for the people. You can become a sustaining member at patreon.com/Manny Faces. There's some perks there. We give discounts on merch. Oh my God, my dogs are attacking me. I got dogs. You can say hi to my dog. We could do come here, dogs. Come here, killers. Whatever. We could do a meeting with the dogs. We could do a Zoom meeting. You can meet my dogs, whatever. There's all kinds of things we could do. But please think about it. Patreon.com/Manny Faces. Other than that, we'll be back next Monday. I'll be dropping another video Wednesday, which is a new type of video. You might have seen my recent videos, a little thing I've been doing called Old Heads Anonymous. You want to watch it together? Let's watch it together.
My name is Manny.
Can we do it? Hold on.
Yeah.
I think
My name is Manny.
people like this. I think it's been funny. It's a little reels thing that I've been doing, and then we'll let you go. I'll let you go, but you should watch this. It's pretty funny, I guess. So check this out. This is a meeting, a secret hidden camera in a recent meeting of Old Heads Anonymous. It's like Alcoholics Anonymous, but it's Old Heads Anonymous. I watched the Grammys. Here it is.
Hi, my name is Manny.
Hi, Manny.
Yeah, peace. I caught my son listening to a song about taking drugs, and I'm like, we used to rap about selling drugs. Now you rap about taking drugs, you know what I mean? But instead of like insulting his taste in music or calling him soft, for listening to that stuff, I asked him, what's wrong? Why do you sound depressed? Why do you connect to this artist who's going through these troubles? And maybe, Maybe I can help. And so, you know, we're talking. So, yeah. Thanks.
So again, some things that us, you know, us grown folk could think about. We might not like. This is what Ozay and us was talking about in the interview. We might not like everything that the kids are listening to. We might not like their style, their influences. They're there. I've said this 1,000 times. You're not going to get around it. You could ignore it, pretend it's not there. You could insult your kids for their taste in music, or like I said, the joke was we used to rap about selling drugs. Now y'all rap about taking drugs. Y'all soft. And I'm like, I don't know. There's some transparency there. There's artists that are a little bit more vulnerable with themselves. We just had Rich Homie Quan pass away from drug addiction. He made his drug addiction known, right? And if his people in his circle, I'm sure, unsuccessfully, sadly, but I'm sure tried to do something about it. So when a kid of mine, and I've had kids, I got mad kids. I got, you know, a bunch of kids from, you know, 30 something to 9. And if my kid is listening to somebody, you know, musically and they're connecting to an artist and they're talking about these subject matters, I'm not going to get mad. I'm not going to be like, wait, my hip hop is better than yours. Let my hip hop like squash it. I'm going to be like, wait a minute, hold on. Where can I find common ground? Why is he gravitating toward this artist? Why is he paying attention to this subject matter? Maybe I could help him along the way. Maybe I could help him out. So as OGs, like that's something that we're trying to preach over here. So, you know, I know it's hard sometimes because a lot of it is really bad and garbagey, and I get it. I understand that. At the same time, and I got a few of these, so pay attention to the videos. Follow me on IG or whatever, because I'm also reminding us that like we used to listen to some wild stuff right now. You know what I mean? Back when we were, when we were young, and I'm just saying. I'll give you one more before we go, Manny. Just to make my point. Yeah. If I can, because I don't want to like hold y'all up to. I'm late. It's late. But here, check this out. You'll know what I'm saying. Jared, let me know if you feel me on this one, Jared.
Peace, y'all. My name's Manny.
Hi, Manny.
How you doing? Can we just talk about how nasty and sexual and raunchy today's rap is? I mean, it's out of control, man. It's not like back in our day when I was big pimping my gangster bitch. She used to be scared of it, but then she threw lips to that shit and handled it like a real bitch when she put it in her mouth, and I would lick her neck, her back, her... Never mind, y'all. My bad, y'all go. Peace.
So you see what I'm saying? Like, don't forget, we were all about this raunchiness. We was all about the violence and all the bad things too. Now, we had a little bit of a period of time when, maybe on the radio, maybe in our mainstream, we also had a little bit more balance. I did a whole video on, we're not going to get that balance anymore, but we can still get that balance. It's just not the way you think. It's not going to be on, the radio. It's not going to be in mainstream. There's a way to do it. Listen to what I'm telling you. Listen to the people that we're talking to. And we can, again, hip hop isn't the problem. Hip hop is the solution. Okay. So as KRS said, I started this whole talk tonight reminding you of how KRS once said, if hip hop can corrupt young minds, it can also uplift them. And I'm proving that with the people that I'm talking to. You can see it being done. So once again, peace and love to everybody who's been checking in. I appreciate you. Please make sure you thumbs up. Make sure you are subscribed, and you can share it real quick. They'll have missed it, because they weren't here live. But I do appreciate you being here live and paying attention. Once again, shouts to Jarrett, shouts to CR, shouts to Fanvergence, shouts to all our supporters on Patreon. I really do appreciate you. We're building up, and it really does help. I'm able to do a couple things to try to expand our reach, make sure that our automations are going together so we get guests. You see the guest quality is up on the par. The videos are tight. The people are smashing in their work. So we're doing it. So just help me do it if you can. Patreon.com/Manny Faces. Other than that, I'll see you next week, Monday, but I'm dropping a video Wednesday, a new thing I'm doing, so pay attention for that. Make sure you're subscribed with notifications on. And that's it. I'm tired. It's been a lot getting ready for this one. But we're back. We're back in the swing of things. Took a couple weeks off because, end of the summer, Labor Day and all that. A good guest next week. Again, I mentioned him, Dr. J, James Norris, and he's going to talk about another way that they're using hip hop as a way to heal. Hip hop to heal. And not just kids. We talk a lot of time for the kids, like a lot of the mental health stuff. We talk education stuff. But what I love about this is that this one's aimed at us, grown folk, 18 and over. So Tune in next week to find out what Dr. James Norris is doing with Rhythms of Healing. Hit me up on any social media. Talk to me. Just Google Manny Faces and hit me on your platform of choice. And again, if you can, Manny Faces at patreon.com/Manny Faces. Chosen Hip Hop, what up? Shouts to Chosen Hip Hop. Shouts to PRism and all those folks over there doing good work. Had them on the show. Run back. If you like this, run back through some of the archives, you know what I mean? And just get some more gems from the dope people that I am blessed and honored and privileged to know and share with y'all. All right, we out. Peace and love. I think that's it. I don't think there's anything else I have to tell you. I didn't take any notes, so that's it. All right, I'm out. Peace. Let's go.